In 1917, Henry Ford became the first person to mass-produce a tractor, making it more affordable and easier to obtain. This, of course, only applied to those who could afford them. During the 1920s, agricultural areas did not experience the economic boom that urban cities were undergoing. The farming families were poor in the 1920s, and the Depression in the 1930s hit them hard. Because of the subpar soil conditions and lack of rain, wheat was chosen as the best grain to grow in the Midwest. On top of low wages and poor growing conditions, the farmers in the Midwest succumbed to the Dust Bowl. The 150,000 square mile area encompassing the Oklahoma and Texas panhandles and neighboring sections of Kansas, Colorado, and New Mexico has little rainfall, light soil, and high winds, a potentially destructive combination. Most early settlers used the land for livestock grazing until agricultural mechanization combined with high grain prices during World War I enticed farmers to plow up millions of acres of natural grass cover to plant wheat. The storms of the Dust Bowl decimated everything in their path. Sometimes they were miles high and hundreds of miles wide. These storms were a combination of high force winds and the dust from the topsoil off of the Midwestern ground. These high-force windstorms had the potential to rip the crops out of the ground. After they had passed, everything would be covered in a thick layer of dirt. The dirt would even eventually get into the engines and components of automobiles and cause them not to function. These storms made farming near impossible, which caused most of the farmers to have to find somewhere else to live. Since the only work in these Midwestern areas was farming, the farmers and their families were forced to pack up and leave to try and find work in other places. By 1940, over 2.5 million people had fled the area devastated by the Dust Bowl. 10% of these people had moved to California. These people were called Okies. Okies are a migrant agricultural worker from Oklahoma and surrounding areas who had been forced to leave during the Depression of the 1930s. During this time period, all these farmers who moved to the West had no luck with farming and agriculture because they were not making any money, so most of the farmers left. The farmers fanned out across America and mainly California to try and find work to support their families. These were very hard times for the farmers in the 1920s and 30s.